Greetings from Byron, New York. It's July 18th, 2020. It's about 84 degrees out today. And I wanted to do a little tour of my front garden. So I would call this a cottage style. And it's planted with a mixture of natives and non-native plants. I just saw a monarch butterfly go floating through. The exposure is on the west side of my house, so it gets winter wind. It's not too far from the road, so it does get salt spray in the winter. It's kind of a tough spot to garden, which is why I've gone with some tougher plants, daylilies, the coneflowers, beebalm. Tried to put some evergreens in, and they just haven't done well. So thought we'd do a little tour here. So on this end, I actually have species, purple coneflower. They're not a named variety. They are the actual species that I got from seed. And coneflowers do like to self-sow if they're happy. So they've been very happy here. In here I've got a yellow-leafed 9-bark. Excuse me. And in the back I've got some Orient pet lilies fronted with the raspberry beebalm. So my beebalm this year got hit with a caterpillar and they took out all my buds on me. So I hope the birds enjoyed the caterpillars, but the caterpillars enjoyed my beebalm. Still have a little color, and I'm hoping maybe there'll be some secondary buds later. But everybody gets disappointments in the garden depending on the season. You have some catnip in there. My daylilies, got a mixture of daylilies in here. Daylilies are pretty drought tolerant once they're established. I just have a mixture of colors. This one I happen to know the name of. It's called Buttered Popcorn, and it's an earlier one, and it blooms through quite a bit of the daylily season. Had some Asiatic lilies in here that were yellow. They matched the daylily earlier. They've been done a week or so now. Some sedums, Autumn Joy. It's a tough plant. Just started lining up to the house with peonies the last couple of years. Gonna try and have a little row of peonies. I like to do a couple containers. I've got purple wave petunias, coleus, and the sweet potato vine. And containers, of course, need to be watered at least daily when it's hot like this. So I might have to come back out in the fall because this is my New York ironweed, which I love. It gets bright purple flowers on it. Oh, maybe end of August, and it's a great native plant for pollinators later in the season. More daylilies and sedum. Phlox. The phlox has trouble out here when it gets dry. It has not been happy. We just got rain this past week after a bit of a drought, so it's perked up a little bit, but it was not happy. I've got a Spirea. Oh, my magnolias. So these are both star magnolias, and they bloom mid to late April depending on the weather, and I do enjoy them. The color scheme through the garden kind of changes in the season. I have a lot of spring bulbs in here, so it's full of color in the spring. June, I've got a little bit of a down time. We've got iris in here that was blooming. I left some fleabane for the pollinators. Hollyhocks have self-sown in. But as you can see, the coneflowers are trying to decide where they want to grow. I've got another nice big patch of beebalm that the caterpillars ate on me. The lilac in the back was beautiful this year. That's actually one called George Eastman. The phlox, one of the variegated phloxes, I don't remember the cultivar name, but it's actually done pretty well out here. And then I've got some butterfly weed, Asclepias tuberosa, and you can see butterflies and bees like it. So this is in the milkweed family. So a monarch butterfly could indeed lay its eggs on here, and I could have caterpillars. The Asclepias tuberosa actually likes very dry, droughty conditions. So I'm hoping this will get established out front, because this is the type of spot that maybe it will do well in. I've got some white coneflower that has appeared. I probably planted some a while ago and the original plant disappeared, and now I've got some seedlings. And as you can see, the coneflowers, the bees love the coneflowers. These are bumblebees. I think they're rusty belted bumblebees. But this is just in the sun here, just a little pollinator habitat going on. So I've also had some soil problems with this end of the garden. Some things aren't, I don't know if I've got a soil-borne issue, but some plants are not happy down here. But you can see the coneflowers, the butterfly weed, the beebalm are doing quite well. So sometimes you just have to see what works in your garden and what doesn't. And that is part of gardening. The garden changes through the seasons, so I will definitely try to get some pictures up next spring with the bulb display. And I do have a clematis in the back, which is kind of on the end of its blooming cycle. There's a trellis back there, but it kind of winds up through the magnolia too. So I'll just give you one more run through of the garden. Hopefully I'm slow enough. And as I said, you know, doing a site assessment, working with your site instead of working against it, finding the right plant, putting it in the right place. I've done a lot of experimenting out here, and a lot of things are no longer in this garden. Trying to find what works. I've tried a number of things. As I said, you know, evergreens just don't do well out here because of the winter, the salt, the drying winds. And as far as zone hardiness, my garden is listed as a zone 6. But out here, for shrubs, I go with zone 4 plants. The wind is very strong out here in the winter, and there's frequently a snowbank. And what's left of the lawn, I've taken out a lot of the front lawn and put in a lot of garden. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little tour of my front yard, and I'll be back. We'll check in on it, and we'll post some other ones. Thank you very much.